I feel drained, like energetically,
like I do every day of the week.
Like you feel drained.
Yeah.
You cannot give yourself.
When Kourtney and Travis got married, they actually weren't living together. But even though they bought a shared home about 6 months later and now have a baby together, they still might not be staying under the same roof.
I just feel like I'm really over it.
So what's really going on with Travis and Kourtney's living situation? The truth about whether or not they're still living in separate houses is seriously bizarre, so let's get into it. By the time Kourtney and Travis got married in May 2022, their relationship had already been pretty serious for a while. Not to mention they had basically been inseparable since they started dating. But when Kourtney appeared on an episode of Amanda Hirsch's Not Skinny But Not Fat podcast in October 2022, she dropped an absolute bombshell. What she revealed about married life with Travis was completely unexpected. Despite the fact that they had been married for 5 months, Kourtney admitted that she and Travis still weren't sharing a home. Their romance had been a total whirlwind, especially in the beginning, which made it even more shocking that they weren't living together. Kourtney explained that she and Travis were still in the process of working out how to blend both their families and their households. Again, it seems so strange that they were trying to figure all of that out even though they were already married and trying for a baby. Kourtney added that although they weren't under the same roof yet, it was still important for both her and Travis that all of their children spend time together. She said that every Sunday they had dinner together as a big blended family at Travis's house, but there were a few major factors that made fully moving in together seem much more complicated. Kourtney also brought up something that would most likely become an issue if she and Travis were actually living together full time. She revealed that her daughter Penelope, who was 10 years old at the time, still slept in bed with her pretty much every night. Apparently, Penelope had been co-sleeping with her mom since she was born, so changing that routine wouldn't exactly be easy. But when Kourtney mentioned another reason that she and Travis were still living separately, it was absolutely mind-blowing. Travis and Kourtney's houses were only a block away from each other, so moving in together seemed like the obvious next step. And it's not like they hadn't been thinking about it for a really long time. But what they had in mind was a totally different plan altogether. In the first season of The Kardashians, which was filmed in late 2021, Kourtney claimed that she and Travis were considering buying a home together. Even though they checked out some nice houses in the second episode, they didn't end up making a purchase. Since Kourtney and Travis had been putting off buying a house together for that long, it didn't seem to be a huge priority to them. But during the podcast episode, Kourtney explained that whenever her children were at Scott's house, she would stay at Travis's place. It turns out that the biggest challenge when it came to moving all the kids into one shared house was changing everything that they were used to. Kourtney said that both her kids and Travis's kids had been living at their houses for basically their entire lives. Travis and Kourtney eventually planned on buying a home for their blended family to move into together. However, they wanted to be sure that everyone was comfortable with the idea first and didn't feel like they were being forced to adjust to living somewhere that they hated. But what happened next was truly unbelievable. A few weeks after the podcast episode was released, Kourtney and Travis finally bought a home together. They ended up deciding on a beach house in Santa Barbara, which cost them $14.5 million. But even though they bought the house over a year ago, they still might not be living there or in any of their other houses together. Many people have speculated that Travis and Kourtney are still living in their separate houses in Calabasas. Based on their social media posts, it looks like they have stayed at their beach house, but mainly for just occasional weekend trips. One of the reasons why people are convinced that nothing has changed with their unusual living situation is honestly bizarre. Travis and Kourtney's oceanfront home is 2,100 square feet, which is about the same size as the average American family home. But compared to Kourtney's 12 square foot mansion, it probably feels incredibly cramped. The beach house is also much less spacious than Travis's main Calabasas home, which is reportedly 10,000 square feet. Meanwhile, his spare house that's located in the same city is 7,000 square feet. It's hard to imagine Kourtney, Travis, and their kids all living comfortably together in a 2-bedroom, 2,100 square foot house. Not only that, but Travis and Kourtney still haven't listed any of their houses for sale. So so it definitely seems like they still own their separate properties. However, a month ago, Travis listed his smaller spare home for rent on Zillow for a whopping $23,000 a month. But at this point, it seems very unlikely that he and Kourtney have any intentions of giving up either of their main houses anytime soon, if ever. It's also started to appear as if Travis and Kourtney might continue living separately for quite a while. On Christmas morning, Travis surprised his kids, Landon and Alabama, with luxury vehicles, and in the posts that were shared to Instagram, it looked like the matching Mercedes-Benz G-Wagons were parked on the driveway of his Calabasas home. Travis and Kourtney's initial explanation for not living together was kind of unexpected, but it still made sense. They didn't want to rush the process of moving in together since their kids had spent years in their own houses. But now that Travis and Kourtney have a baby together, why would either of them want to continue living separately? Travis and Kourtney's son Rocky was born around 3 months ago. If Kourtney has still only been staying overnight at Travis's house while her other kids are with Scott, that would make things extremely difficult. But if Kourtney was expecting Travis to spend more quality time with Rocky at her house, she must be feeling so disappointed. That leads to another potential reason why the couple is still living separately, and it's honestly insane. Allegedly, Travis doesn't exactly have the greatest track record when it comes to sharing child care responsibilities. His baby mama and second ex-wife, Shanna Moakler, recently exposed his pattern of toxic behavior, and it doesn't look good for Kourtney. Shanna revealed on an episode of the Dumb Blonde podcast that while she was married to Travis, he never helped her take care of their kids at night. She would regularly be awake almost all night, just feeding, changing, and comforting their 3 young children on her own. It's possible that Travis is repeating history with Kourtney and he wants to live separately because he doesn't want to take care of Rocky. But if he ends up following his unhealthy relationship pattern like he has multiple times in the past, he might be trying to avoid spending time with Kourtney as well. In his first marriage, Travis lost interest in his wife Melissa not long after their wedding. He was constantly looking for other women, so he ended up filing for divorce before their first anniversary. And after he left their house, he stayed in a hotel for a while. Travis did nearly the exact same thing when he was married to Shanna. Shortly after their first child was born, they got married, but soon he was spending most of his time with other women, touring or partying, which caused a lot of trouble in their marriage. Shanna claimed that whenever she and Travis decided to separate, or when she was secretly seeing other women, he would leave their house and go stay at a hotel. If he is losing interest in Kourtney, like he did with his ex-wives, and avoiding his responsibilities as a dad, that could explain why he wants to live separately. Travis might be keeping his house and refusing to move in with Kourtney and Rocky full-time so that he can do whatever he wants. And if he ever decides to move on from their marriage, he has his own separate house to go to instead of staying at a hotel. Hopefully that's not the reason why Kourtney and Travis still appear to be living separately, but lately he's been regularly hanging out with his friends at his Calabasas home while Kourtney is left to take care of their son on their own. There are a lot of red flags being raised with Travis's recent behavior, especially considering his toxic pattern. But no matter what the reason might be for his and Kourtney's living situation, it's definitely unconventional. Anyway, now that we've gotten into the reasons why Kourtney and Travis are still living in separate houses, I want to know what your thoughts are. What do you think about Kourtney saying that she and Travis were still figuring out how to live together when they were already married and trying for a baby? And now that they have a child together, what do you think is the main reason they still live separately? Let me know in the comments below.